Welcome to my first show. This is a test to make sure that this is going to go right. Um, I didn't want to start doing interviews and then figure out that I just ruined it because I didn't know what I was doing. So I wanted to try to do a test, make sure things are going to go smooth. I am the Cornhole Cobbler. My name is AJ DeSantis. And this is a little bit about me, what I'm doing, and what the purpose of all this is. A little bit about me first. I am a middle school social studies teacher. I began playing seriously during COVID. My first time out, though, I went to this backyard tournament, and that was my shot. I failed miserably. Although I hit some cool airmails, I wasn't accurate. I did not place, and I didn't really care for the game. I got called out for another game because they were looking for players, and I practiced a little bit, and I got my throw a little more under control, and we ended up winning. Um, Bait, hook, caught. That is what got me hooked on this game. When COVID hit, we did a lot of virtual teaching, and while some teachers took some time off, I went headstrong right on into it. I was spending 10 to 12 hours creating my lessons, and that effort was not coming back to me, which created a whole lot of stress on my part because I was putting in a lot of work. So cornhole became my stress relief. I put my boards out and I just go throw for an hour or two and calm down. And then I wanted to start taking this more seriously. So my buddy heard about some of the leagues that were going on in the area, and I went over and I tried out Delaware Cornhole. Delaware Cornhole has been around since 2014. The owners, by the time I got there, were Mike Napier, Drew Leanne, and Brian Wire. I know that they're not all the original owners, and they're not all there now, but they're the guys that were running this show when I first got involved. Um, I travel as much as I can. I try to find all of these other clubs to go play with, and while there are a lot of really good clubs out there, Delaware Cornhole just does it better. Um, what they've done is they've made me a loyal club member, which leads me to how did I become the Cornhole Cobbler? I joined a league. The league was 70 some teams. Um, that league now is anywhere from 65 to 105 teams per every season. Winners obviously are big season. And someone wanted to see if someone would put out their predictions. Well, as a newer person, I didn't really know all these guys yet, and I'd watched a couple people put their predictions out there, and they got torn up over them. So this is kind of my thing. I like dealing with numbers and analysis. Before I was a teacher, I worked in data analysis. Uh, so I wanted to take a crack at it, but not knowing these guys, I was afraid to do it under my own name. So I got a hold of the owners. I put together a whole prediction for the league, and I had the owner post it for me. I was a mysterious person at that point. Um, and then it got bigger, and I decided that I needed a name. But by the time I realized I needed a name, it was too close to print, and I ended up settling on the Cornhole Cobbler. Corn on the cob, and a cobbler is someone that makes shoes, but they also make a whole bunch of different things. Well, I became a person that was making cornhole predictions, so I was still making something. So I know, corny, but for real, I wish I would have taken a little bit more time on this, but now it's stuck, and I'm cool with it. Also, because we had that many people in our league, it was easy to hide among the many. Uh, there were definitely some people that thought it was me, but I was trying to deflect as much as I possibly could. Um, I tried to do a preseason, a mid-season, and a playoff night prediction of how things were going to go. People always tend to get a little butthurt when you leave them off. There's also some teams that I think that needed shout outs, so I would always put out a dark horse because I wanted everyone to feel that they could get some recognition. Um, but I didn't think that there was enough people getting recognition that they deserved. So I wanted to do more. So this is how my top 10 was created. It started as a group of 5 people. We would get some stats on all the players, how many times they podiumed, what their PPR, DPRs were, and then we would vote as to who the top 10 was. I will never tell you who they are, but I call them all cobblers because I never intended the cobbler to be just me. I meant it to be for the club. Um, so as we're going along, there was one week where someone had a really good week, but none of the 5 of us had seen them have the good week, and they ended up being left off the list. So I realized the way that we were doing the top 10 was wrong. Uh, so I went to a stat metric based top 10. Now it was PPR, DPR, and podiums. And PPR was weighted more than the other 2 categories. Uh, and that's pretty much how we went through the rest of the year because I wanted to be objective rather than subjective. Regardless of whether we were getting to see you or not, um, I wanted to make sure that everyone had a fair chance. Last year, I did reward our top players, uh, but that really wasn't publicized and pushed out. And then earlier this year, I got unmasked, which is going to lead to I've been able to do a whole lot more ever since I've been identified, which is pretty neat. But I also had to change the way the top 10 was as well. Uh, Now it is based on PPR, DPR, the podiums, which are based on how difficult the tournament was. I take the average PPR, and then rounds. If you can make it into the top 20 or top 10 DPR for the week, and you've thrown 100 rounds, 200 rounds, you should be rewarded for that as for that consistency. So it has changed a little bit to make it more fair. But this year, I am holding an invitational top 10 for our top 10 players of the year. I'm calling it the King or Queen of Delaware Cornhole. And these are people that have thrown outstanding all year long to be able to place them in our top 10. None of this would be possible, though, without some of these sponsors that I have. Uh, my main sponsor here is Chris Rapicelli with Crown Homes Real Estate. If you are looking to buy or sell in Delaware, Maryland, or Pennsylvania, please get a hold of Chris. He'll hook you up. Earlier this year, I got announced to be on Team Big Ass. The Big Ass Brothers have put on an incredible show. I've been a fan for 3.5 years. But they're extremely entertaining. They're well informed. And for the price of a beer a month, you can join their Patreon where you can get some background information or information before the general public does. Um, they also have their own clothing line too. Code Cobbler will save you 10% if you go to Jam Apparel and check them out. And last but not least, I gotta give a huge shout out to Brotherhood Cornhole. They have become a huge sponsor for me as I've been a bag rep for them. By the way, all the money that comes into me is being handed back out to the club through this top 10 tournament, through various other things that I'm doing throughout the year. I'm going to start handing out some prizes, but it is essentially giving back to the club. Um, so Brotherhood Cornhole, if you check out their website, you use code Cobbler, that'll save you 10% as well. Um, so what's the purpose of the show? We have one of the largest tournaments on the East Coast that is not Worlds um, or any major open. Um, it is called Paradise Grove. We paid out $32,500 last year. We had 180 teams, about 180 teams come in. And then we have pros that fly around from all over the country to come play in this tournament. I would like to introduce these pros to our club members so that way our club knows more about them. So when they come in and fly in and they're playing on the main stage, you might have some more passionate fans because they know you ahead of time. There's also a lot of really deserving people within our own club that I would like to introduce to the cornhole community. So that is the purpose of this. I don't have a timeline for how long this is going to last. Um, I'm hoping that this is going to be weekly, at least until I get through everyone that I feels needs to be put out there for this. And then we'll reassess, figure out something else to do. Well, until next time, uh, I hope that you lock, load, aim, and fire. Uh, Thanks, guys.